For centuries, the elite Sultan Sworn have served as personal bodyguards to the royal family of Uldar. Known as Paladins, these men and women marry exquisite swordplay with stalwart shield work to create a style of combat uncompromising in its defense. Clad in brilliant silver armor, they charge fearlessly into battle, ever ready to lay down their lives for their liege. To be a paladin is to protect, and those who choose to walk this path will become the iron foundation upon which the party's defense is built. On the northernmost edge of Albathia's spine exists a mountain tribe renowned for producing fearsome mercenaries. Wielding great axes and known as warriors, these men and women learn to harness their inner beasts and translate that power to unbridled savagery on the battlefield. In former times which saw war waged ceaselessly in Eorzea, the warriors featured prominently on the front lines of battle. With the arrival of peacetime, however, their art has descended into the shadows of obscurity, where it remains to this day. The pious Ishgardian clergy guide the flock, and the devout knights protect the weak. Yet even the holiest of men succumb to the darkest of temptations. None dare to administer justice to the sacrosanct elite residing outside the reach of law. Who then defends the feeble from the transgressions of those meant to guide and protect them? A valiant few take up arms to defend the downtrodden, and not even the holy priests and knights can escape their judgment. Pariahs in their own land, they are known by many as Dark Knights. These sentinels bear no shields declaring their allegiance. Instead, their great swords act as beacons to guide the meek through darkness. The Hrothgar of the northern Ilsabard have passed the art of gunblade from one generation to the next. The weapon itself combines a sword with a firing mechanism, emitting a range of magical effects by utilizing etherically imbued cartridges. Originally employed by Queen Gunhilder's personal guard, they were once known as Gunhilder's blades, and differ greatly from the similarly named weapons used in the Gallian Empire. White magic, the arcane of succor, was conceived eras past that the world might know comfort. Alas, man began perverting powers for self-gain, and by his wickedness brought about the sixth umbral catastrophe. Although the art subsequently became forbidden, it is now in the midst of a revival at the hands of the Pajal, chosen of the elementals. Those who would walk the path with the white mage are healers without peer, possessed of the power to deliver comrades from the direst of afflictions, even the icy grip of death itself. In an age long past when mankind flourished under the radiance of arcane mastery, the island of Volbrand was home to a city-state called Nim. Though the history of that age tells us of countless wars waged with earth-shattering incantations, it was the brilliant strategic maneuvering of Nim's scholars that allowed their mundane army of mariners to throw back would-be conquerors time and again. These learned men and women defended the freedom of their tiny nation with the unique command over spell-weaving fairies, utilizing the creature's magics to heal the wounded and bolster the strength of their allies. Ever has man coveted knowledge, and none more so than that of his fate. Thus did he labor to master the skill of foresight. But initial efforts bore little fruit. That is, until he looked to the stars above, which foretell the coming seasons, and learned to read the heavens. Though this gift is known today as astrology, the people of Sharlayan saw fit to not only read the stars, but to write their movements as well, by attuning their etherical energies to that of constellations. They learned to wield the magics with heretofore unseen properties. Thus was astromancy born, a new form of magic which grants its user power over fate, employing a star globe and divining deck in the miraculous deeds. Fortune always smiles upon these masters of arcana. The nation of Sharlayan is a cradle of knowledge, and the studium its foremost institution of learning, yet more so than its incomparable library and formidable assemblage of archons. This prestigious academy is famed for blending traditionally distinct fields to produce revolutionary new disciplines. Among these, perhaps the most distinguished, is an altruistic art which draws upon the wisdom of etherology, sorcery, and medicine. Dubbed somanotics, the art seeks to heal and protect by manipulating corporeal ether through the use of Knoweths, a flying array of foci. Practitioners are dedicated to the betterment of mankind, and for their wisdom and compassion, eventually came to be known simply as sages. Though now under Garlean rule, the city-state of Alamigo once boasted the greatest military might of all Eorzea. Among its standing armies were monks, ascetic warriors as dreaded by foes on the battlefield as the city-state's great pikemen. The monks comprised an order known as the Fist of Ralga, and it was to this god, the Destroyer, that they devoted their lives of worship. By mastering seats of power within the body known as chakra, they are capable of performing extraordinary physical feats. Of all the things that are symbolic of the nation of Ishgard, few are more recognized than the Dragoon. Born amidst the timeless conflict between men and dragons, these lance-wielding knights have developed an aerial style of combat that they might better pierce the scale hides of their mortal foes, taking to the firmament as though it were an extension of the land. They descend upon the enemy with every ounce of their bodies behind the blow. It is this penetrative power that characterizes the Dragoon. Hailing from the war-torn lands of the Far East, the secret arts of the ninja were born of necessity, and have since given rise to a unique breed of highly trained combatants, able to manipulate the vital energies of the land, the air, and living beings. They manifest their power through the weaving of signs, unleashing a wide array of attacks against their foes, master the arts of the ninja, and learn to bend the tide of battle to your will. In the distant past, the realm's great lords vied for supremacy over its seagirt, confines in a long and bloody conflict, and taking to battle in their lieges' names were noble swordsmen whose art forged in the crucible of war, the samurai. Eventually the nation was unified under one banner, and the warriors came to wield their katana, not upon fields as part of an army, but upon streets as protectors of peace, But as a neglected blade grows dull with rust, so too do men forget their purpose. Amidst waning memories of old ways, a determined few hold fast to their convictions, hands by katana grips, awaiting the moment for steel to sing. The Garlean's forebears were once humble farmers who made their home among the sun-drenched fields of southern Ilsebard. That was until they were driven from this paradise by invaders wielding arcane magics. Forced north into the frigid mountains, the survivors sought a means to tap into the reservoir of ether otherwise close to them. A daring few found their answer within the void, binding themselves to its creature to gain verboten power. Power fed by the souls of the slain. Once more they took up their sights, this time to reap a crimson harvest. Among the myriad beasts of Tural, a select few awakened to pre-natural power, becoming what are known as Tural Vidral. To overcome the threat of these almighty beings, hunters studied one of nature's deadliest predators, one capable of overcoming foes greater even than themselves, the Viper. They are swift and agile, with dual blades like fangs to bite, or combined into a single weapon to weave about the battlefield. Named for the serpent that inspired their fighting style, the Vipers of Tural remain steadfast in their duty to defend the people. The word bard ordinarily puts folks in the mind of those itinerant minstrels, fair of voice and nimble of finger, who earn their coin by performing in taverns and the hall of great lords. Few know, however, that bards in fact trace their origins back to the bowmen of Eld, who sang in the heat of battle to fortify the spirits of their companions. In time, their impassioned songs came to hold sway over the hearts of men, inspiring their comrades to great feats and granting peace unto those who lay upon the precipice of death. The war with Dravania rages on, brutal and unrelenting. With no end in sight, the Holy See grows desperate. As her dragoons lay down their lives in defense of their home, Ishgard turns to technology to protect her sons and daughters. Great cannons and ballistas now line the city walls, plucking dragons from the sky. Following the example of Sid Garland, who has demonstrated the potency of Magitech, the Skysteel manufactory works tirelessly on the development of advanced armaments. As new and devastating weapons are brought to the fray, a new class of champion arises to wield them, the Machinist. From the Near Eastern nation of Thavner comes a troop of bewitchingly graceful performers. Though certainly elegant and beautiful, their movements also speak of martial discipline, of a pulsing, persistent energy whose rhythm can inspire souls and soothe troubled hearts. Inured to hardships of the road, these dancers have learned to land throwing weapons with the same exacting precision as their footfalls, removing any who would obstruct the endless beat of the dance. In days long past, there existed an occult and arcane art known as black magic, potent and pure destructive force born by a sorceress of unparalleled power. Those who learned to wield this instrument of ruin came to be called black mages, out of both fear and respect for their gift. Yet great power served to corrupt the judgment of mortal men, and so he unknowingly set upon the path of ruin. Adventurers who take the black will become agents of devastation, capable of annihilating those who oppose them through little more than the force of their will. The beast tribes of Eorzea worship and summon forth beings known as primals, among which are Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan. Yet what is a god to one man is a demon to another. For the city-states of Eorzea see these beings as a grave threat to their collective survival. In times immemorial, there lived mages who had not only the power to summon the primals, but also the means to transmute the primals' essences, thus binding them to their will. Known simply as summoners, the existence of these men and women and their arcane art have been all but lost to the ages. On the eastern edge of Albathia's spine lies the mountainous region of Gur-Abania. It is in these elevated lands that people took shelter when a burning star guided them away from the sixth umbral calamity's treacherous floodwaters. The survivors gathered from near and far, and amongst them were refugees from the sorceress cities of Mak and Amdapor. These sworn enemies buried their history for the sake of the future, and cast aside their vestments of black and white. Upon the remnants of their arts, a new discipline was built, and the first red mages stepped forward with rapiers in hand to fight back against the rising tides of destruction. Though the fifth astral era is most famously associated with the War of Magi, a wealth of lesser-known legends were forged in that bygone age. Among them is the tale of Archon Realm, an itinerant artist and mage who relinquished her traditional staff for a magic brush. With it, she would render abstract images to life, establishing an entirely new school of magic in doing so. Masters of this arcane discipline follow in the Archon's footsteps, wielding vibrant hues of ether to invoke all manner of fantastical beasts, weapons, and landscapes from their mind's eye. For the source of a Pictomancer's power lies not in artistic skill, but the richness of their imagination, with which they strive to paint a brighter future.